Now, a few production techniques here. So let's go and copy this way. Let's say this is our base. It says one row in it, so we can use that as our base. So let's call this version 3B fancy text 2, or anything that makes sense to you. Now, here's what I want to share with you. Now, this is going to affect the actual layout, but we're going to make a change to this. So watch this. If I go to preview changes, notice this is not going full width. And part of the reason it's not going full width because it's in a 100% wide container that by default has margins inside of it. If in fact you want to use this as full width, here's what I suggest you do. You go back under Edit Layout. You insert a row similar to how we did our slideshows in previous videos. And I'm going to select this layout here. Then I'm going to take this all set into action and drag it down. And take this, again, this is my BC Basic, and you can call that whatever you want to call it. If you want to make a new one that's full width and one that's not, you can do that as well. But we're going to take this and delete this. We're going to save the layout. So therefore, if I go back to my page a few times and refresh, you will see a full page layout, which is really pretty darn cool. All right, so let's make some changes to this. We have our duplicate. The only thing I want to do now is go back into here and change that back. And here's a little production technique here. We're going to take this information and we're going to cut it to our clipboard. So let's say as an example that the client needs to get the wording right. So let's get the wording right on one and then just pepper it to the other pages. That's just working smart. Take my word for it. It is. All right. So let's come down here and let's change that back to type and save the changes. Update if you must in case your computer crashes. All right. So let's come down here and let's duplicate that a few gazillion times. So we're going to have a total of 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's actually telling you the text that's inside of here already. So it's actually better than we did before because you had to play games with going to the text module because I'm on a white background, etc., etc. So this is really pretty cool that it tells you exactly the text that's in there. So we're going to edit this. We're going to change that to this. And then simply cut this out. You see, it's just working smart. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. Save the changes, come back into my row, and simply change the background. So I'm going to get rid of that and put in a brand new background. And save the changes. Okay, I now come into this one. I paste, I cut, I save, I go back into the background, so there's 1, 2, here's 3. Background, delete, save. And we'll put this one in. And save the changes. Do the final one under fancy text. Now, if you want to have different variations, one's typing across and the other is coming up at the bottom, let's do that. Let's have a little fun with this. And let's change this to slide down. Save the changes. Come up here. Background. Delete. Now, again, this is the one that's slightly pixelated, but hey, we'll go with that. Demonstration purposes. Okay. Update. Preview changes, and now we have a cool looking website. So there's Think, Learn, Earn. Now again, if this is just going to be the one line, you may want to delay that again. You might want to delay that in between, and you do that inside your properties of the fancy text. I scroll down here. Now I guess I thought I did do this, but apparently I didn't do this. I meant to. Let's go back into here again. I thought I did do this, but apparently I didn't do this. So let's go back up here and let's go to my design elements. Yeah, I didn't do that. So let's put in 0. Now I should have done this first. Now obviously I've done this before, so I just want to caution you on make sure that everything is set up the right way first. before you start duplicating. Otherwise, you're just going to create a lot more work for yourself. So if you pay attention to my courses, this will help you every step of the way. So if I would have done this to begin with, now obviously I did this on purpose, so you will see that I don't want to have to go through this. So make sure that you set up your information first. And again, margin spaces on the outside, padding spaces on the inside. So if you look at this again, this is giving you my height so my photo fits in there, but I don't want the space between my images, so I'm going to change that to 0. Save the changes, update from here, preview changes, and now everything is right with the universe. And now I don't have the spacing between. Pretty cool. Okay, so it's starting to look like a really cool website. That one again, I would probably change to yellow, etc., etc. Okay, now again, if you want to have different pieces of information in there, I mean, this looks kind of silly that it's basically turning on itself. So for that one, you may want to go in and make other changes to it, etc., etc., etc. So it's a really nice setup of how I can get, and again, one pages with backgrounds are kind of the rage and using different parallax techniques. So in the next video, we'll explore different options that we can use with Visual Composer. So stay tuned.